Okay, so today what we're going to be talking about is something called interval notation. Interval notation is another way that we can use to describe the solution set of an inequality. So far, the only way that we've written the solution sets to inequalities is using something called inequality notation, where you have the inequality still in the answer. However, that's not the only way, and today we're going to talk about one of the other ways, interval notation. Okay. As I said, the solution set of an inequality can be described by using interval notation. In interval notation, we use the infinity symbol to indicate that a set is unbounded in a positive or negative direction. Okay, so what that means, when we looked at number lines before, let me give you an example. Sorry, I'm drawing with my mouse, so it's not going to be the prettiest. But when we look at a number line, if our solution was something like this, where x is greater than 5, we just said exactly that. X is greater than 5. In interval notation, what you'll do is you'll start with your smallest value, which in this case is 5, and you'll use the symbol, the infinity symbol, to show that it goes on forever in that other direction. Okay, for example, in this case, our arrow goes on forever in the to the right, so our infinity symbol will be over here. Okay. However, you don't just put 5 comma infinity. You're either going to use parentheses or brackets to denote this, and we're going to talk about which to use in the next slide. Parentheses are used when endpoints are not included in the solution set. Okay, so what that means, if we have an open circle, when it's not included, we're going to use parentheses. A bracket is used to indicate that an endpoint is included in the solution set. So when you have your closed circle, you'll use those brackets. So the example that we had before, x is greater than 5, we had written 5 comma infinity. Notice, okay, it's just greater than, it's not or equal to, so we would just use parentheses here. Now, it's important to note that anytime you have an infinity symbol, you will always use parentheses because infinity is unbounded. Okay, you will never have a bracket next to a infinity symbol. All right. They give us two examples here. This first one is x is less than 2. All right. So if you look at the number line, x is less than 2 is pointing towards all the numbers less than 2. In interval notation, okay, our smallest number would technically be negative infinity because our arrow goes all the way over here to negative infinity, and then our largest number is right here at 2. So negative infinity to 2. Like we said, infinity will always be parentheses, so we put parentheses. And at 2, we have an open circle. It does not include 2, so we put parentheses here as well. Okay, this example says x is greater than or equal to negative 2. All right, so if you notice in this case, our arrow is now going in the other direction. So our smallest number is that negative 2, and our largest number goes all the way over here to positive infinity. Okay, so it goes from negative 2 to positive infinity. At negative 2, we have a closed circle, so that means we are going to use a bracket. Okay, and just like always with infinity, we put parentheses. There will be some cases where you have a compound inequality, meaning two inequalities on the same number line. When that is the case, you'll use the symbol for union, okay, which is a U. So in this example, we have, they use y. Y is less than negative 1, or y is greater than positive 1. Okay, so you notice it could be anything that is less than negative 1 or anything that is greater than positive 1. In interval notation, you write both of them. Okay, so if you look at this half, it goes from negative infinity over here up until negative 1. I'll write that. Up until negative 1. And then this half starts at 1 and goes all the way to positive infinity. Okay, then you just fill in your parentheses or brackets. Infinity, that's going to be a parentheses, always. At negative 1, there's an open circle, so we're going to use parentheses. Okay, now look at positive 1. Open circle, so we use parentheses. And since this goes to infinity, of course, we're going to use parentheses again. Now to show that this is a union of these two things, you just put a U between. Okay? That is how you write the union of two things in interval notation. And this right here shows how to write it in inequality notation.